So you put it a day in and you figure out the next day whether it worked or not. And it's probably safer if you're just starting out to undercook it, if anything, because you could always use the same bones and cook it a little bit longer.
Okay.
So you're more likely to overcook it than undercook it. Which, I mean, it does need a significant amount of heat. But if you're building a full fire around this, basically the ways we burned it was continuing to add wood to it. So just having one big fire around it, that was perfect. The times that we did a big fire and then added to it, that was too much.
What was the process you were mentioning last night as far as the...
So it's the pyrolysis of the bone marrow that you're going for. So basically heating in an oxygenless, pressurized environment. Did you have a better explanation?
Oh no, I just said the same words.
So basically you're turning the fats in the bone marrow into phyllols, is how I understand it. Zepp hasn't said that part. This is me trying to backtrack and add science words to what he's doing.
Science words.
So I may have it right, I may not. Take it with a grain of salt.
So a pressure cooker wouldn't work for something like that.
I don't know.
If you put some kind of a basket that would hold the bones.
Yeah. And a pressure cooker would be an expensive thing to sacrifice to bone sauce.
Yeah.
And this is, I should also mention, this isn't something Zepp came up with. This is something that is a very long-standing Austrian tradition. There used to be this guy with a little cart that was like the bone man that would go to everyone's farm and come and make the bone sauce. And they use it for all sorts of stuff, not just keeping deer off of trees. They'll use it for castration of animals to keep the wound clean. They use it for hoof rot. Don't ask me how this stuff works.
Clean,
but,
you say.
Yeah.
Keep the wound clean.
Well, it probably keeps flies and maggots out.
It does, exactly. Exactly.
Probably keeps them from licking the wound.
Yeah.
And yeah, and the other thing it works for is, so when Zepp was sick, what his mom would do is wrap him up in a bunch of blankets and slap some bone sauce on each side of his cheek, and he was never sick again. It was a miracle. I think he just said he was never sick again.
So the pots are pretty much toasted after you use.
They're tainted. Not toasted, but tainted.
Tainted.
I would never cook in them afterwards.
But you could make more bone sauce in them, right?
Yeah, you could. Oh, I use
Just
them forever
dedicated.
to make bone sauce.
Yeah, you say you
But-
pretty much have to have bone sauce pots.
Yeah, exactly. And I found, it's best if you can find some old ones that fit into each other, that are old rusty ones that you can find at a yard sale or whatever. But I've even found new cheap ones on Amazon that were like $50 a piece, that are nice big ones. Because you've got to have them fit perfectly into each other, or the mouths perfectly fit each other. So you almost need two identical pots, really, just to be really safe about it. You couldn't have, for example, like a smaller one on top that fits awkwardly into this bottom one. You want a really good seal so that it's easy to make that a really tight seal that no ember is going to get into.
And do you let your clay kind of set up and dry before
Nope.
you put it in the fire?
Nope. I just pack the clay on thick, and then the fire actually kind of hardens it. But the other thing is that all of that clay also gets buried with earth carefully so that it doesn't bust it loose. But so basically either one of these would work on their own with everything going right, and so by doing both of them, both packing it with clay and burying it with a little bit of earth, you're adding in your redundancy.
Do you use
Two
wet
is
clay?
one is none.
You wet the clay first, or you just add?
Using moist clay, yeah. So I mean, we've used like potter's clay in the past, just because we use the scraps that the potters are done with, basically, and that works well. Any other bone sauce questions?
Thank you.
Cool.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
And so Howard asked me to talk a little bit about pattern as well, and how Zepp is using pattern.